promoting and supporting some of the cornerstones of the American experience. It's all about family, faith, and freedom. Now let's get back to the Curtis Report with your host, Barry Curtis.
Thanks, Ed. Welcome back to the Curtis Report. Appreciate you being back with us. Thank you. I took a short break there, and we're talking with Edwin Walker, a criminal defense attorney here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Great discussion about firearms, possession of firearms, the proper use of a firearm, and how and what situations it may be legal or not legal for you to properly defend yourself with your firearm. Before we get back to Edwin, real quick, you can always follow along with us at thecurtisreport.com or thecurtisinitiative.com. We'll take you to the same place, see bios of former, current, and future guests on the show here, little snippets of maybe someone's video or someone selling the book. You'll see that link up there. In addition, original content, Larry Kell and other people contribute in the political discussion. I think just Bethany Blakely, a whole bunch of other people. I think she works for writes for the Examiner. Other folks. Also, you'll see some of my old columns that are sitting up in there as well. But thecurtisreport.com, thecurtisinitiative.com will take you to the same spot there. Edwin Walker, criminal defense attorney. We were talking about Texas, and first of all, I wanted to get that out there that we don't have a stand your ground law, but it's similar. It's no duty to retreat if you're in a lawful place and you feel like you're in imminent danger to defend yourself. But let's get specifically into the into the guns. Who can legally possess a firearm in the state of Texas?
Well, any person who is not a felon or not currently under a protective order, not the subject of a protective order, or an illegal alien, has the right to own a firearm here in the state of Texas. And even with regard to felons, if it has been 5 years since the person who was convicted of a felony was last, the latest date of them either being incarcerated or being under parole or under some other sort of supervision, if it's been 5 years since then even under the laws of the state of Texas, somebody who's convicted of a felony would be allowed to possess a firearm only on the property where they live and no place else. I
did not know that. So after 5 years from, let's say someone was in, does it matter what the conviction was?
No, it doesn't matter. It's any felony conviction.
And so after 5 years, you can legally go and buy a firearm.
Well, no, you cannot buy one. You can possess one on property that you own. It's still a violation of federal law and state law to buy one. So you would have to obtain the firearm either through a gift or inheritance, something like that. But it still is against the law, both state and federal law, to sell a firearm to a person who's been convicted of a felony.
Interesting. Okay, but one can possess one. Interesting. Very interesting. We just learned so much here on the Curtis Report, folks. But so that sets up who can possess a firearm. Now, take it from there. If I have a concealed carry, what does that allow me to do in the state of Texas?
Yes, well, the license that since 1995 has been called a CHL, a concealed handgun license, is actually going to change names as of January 1st, 2016, when the open carry law goes into effect. And it's now going to be called a license to carry, short for license to carry a handgun.
Right.
And if somebody passes the qualifications that are outlined in the government code, then they can apply to the DPS. And the DPS will confirm the information that they wrote on their application. And if they are qualified, which means that they can lawfully purchase a firearm, which referencing what I just said, immediately excludes all felons. If they're able to lawfully purchase a firearm, if they have, they're not behind on their child support, they're not behind on their taxes, they have nothing in their mental history which prohibits them from knowing the safe possession and handling of a firearm, and they pass the education qualifications, being that they went to a CHL class, they pass the written test, they pass the shooting test, then they will be issued a license which will allow that person to lawfully carry a handgun with them outside of the places where they're otherwise lawful to have it, that being their home and their motor vehicle. Mm-hmm. So that then allows them to carry a handgun out into public areas, parks, libraries, malls.
And I want to make that distinction. It doesn't have to be concealed.
As of January 1st, 2016, it does not have to be concealed,
okay,
as long as it is carried in a shoulder or belt holster.
So tell me how that conflicts. Now, herein lies the rub, folks. This is why Edwin's here. How does that conflict with, quote-unquote, gun-free zones or on public/private property like a coffee shop, and I don't want to get into this particular name of a coffee shop, but a coffee shop, a mom pop store, a barbecue place that can post a sign that says no guns allowed?
Well, there are places that the Texas statutes have declared to be off limits to both off limits to people with concealed handgun licenses: school buildings, courthouses,
right,
correctional facilities, racetracks where there's horse and dog betting, professional sporting events, high school sporting events. These areas are places that are off limits by statute for CHL holders,
and that's reasonable. One would think.
Oh, yeah, that's the determination they've made. Now, keep in mind, with regard to governmental property, with a handgun license, you can go on to any governmental property you want. In fact, local governments are prohibited from excluding CHL holders. The only two pieces of government property that you can't go into, well, I guess there's three: courtrooms, correctional facilities, and public schools, elementary, high schools, and as of August 1st next year, people will be able to carry into the buildings of colleges and universities. Mm-hmm. They just can't do it openly. They have to do it concealed.
Right. So can I walk into a bank with a concealed gun?
You can. A bank is a piece of private property, and private property owners are given the ability under Texas Penal Code 30.6 for concealed carry, and then 30.7, the new 30.7 law for open carry. They're given the authority to exclude license holders from their premises if they give that license holder very, very specific notice that their possession of a handgun, open or concealed, is not allowed on their property.
Now, what is that? Is that posting a notice on the door?
Yes, there's actually three ways that you can give notice. You can give notice either verbally. You can tell somebody, hey, we don't allow handguns on this property. Or you can do it in writing by handing them a piece of paper that contains some specific language. Mm-hmm. Or what's most commonly done is what people know as the 30.6 sign. And the 30.6 sign is a sign that has to meet very specific physical requirements and contains language that is set forth in the statute. And so if they use this proper language and they meet the physical requirements of the sign, which are that the letters of the sign have to be in 1-inch block letters, that has to be contrasting colors, it has to be written in both English and Spanish.
Wow.
And it must be posted in a conspicuous place where the public can see it.
Now, is Texas on the forefront of Second Amendment rights? Are we on the cutting edge of the protection, because we're huge proponents of the Second Amendment on the show, but is Texas really on the cutting edge of saying we are bolstering your Second Amendment right to carry your weapon and protect your person and property? Well,
that depends on who you ask, because obviously Texas does have a reputation of being very gun-friendly, and most people in the state of Texas support people's right to use firearms and sporting activities like hunting, but also, more importantly, your right to have a firearm in your own self-defense. And a lot of the laws seem to go that way. However, there was obviously a huge movement for the past 2 years to get the state to allow open carry of handguns.
Right.
And that's where I think some people would say that Texas has not been on the forefront of Second Amendment, because it has been against the law in the state of Texas since 1870 for a person to carry a handgun on or about their person, either openly or concealed. It was only until 1995 when Texas allowed for the lawful concealed carrying of a handgun by a license holder, and now, obviously, 2015, where Texas will allow the open carry of a handgun by a license holder. And if you look at that as compared to other states, and in fact most other states,
right,
have never prohibited the open carrying of a handgun, because they've thought that only criminals concealed carry, and that if somebody openly carried a handgun, that was just simply their ability to do that.
Right.
They're what some people refer to as constitutional carry states. Other states said, no, it's illegal to carry all handguns, and that's the way Texas approached it. So.
Right.
So if you would have asked me, if this question were being addressed 10 years ago or 25 years ago before the concealed carry, Texas really wasn't on the forefront of Second Amendment rights because the only thing that it allowed to be carried in public were long rifles, long guns.
I'm going to bring you back because I want to talk about the long gun issue too, because there's a great deal of controversy. A lot of listeners are involved with that. But Edwin Walker, how can we get a hold of you? How can our listeners reach you, or if they have a concern or issue or legal question?
Yes, well, like I said, I'm a program attorney for Texas Law Shield, in which folks might, if they want to look into becoming a member of Texas Law Shield, they can go to texaslawshield.com or uslawshield.com and sign up there. And also, with regard to the law, myself and a couple of co-authors recently put out a book for Texas Law Shield called Texas Gun Laws, Armed and Educated. It's a very good book. It's sold very well. It tries to break down all of the laws, self-defense laws and gun laws, in a very, very readable and understandable fashion. And we're currently producing a major revision to that due to the laws that were just recently passed by the Texas legislature.
Edwin Walker. We'll put up a link to that book too on the site. Also a link to directly to Edwin Walker as well and his organization. Edwin Walker, we appreciate you being on the Curtis Report. Come back and talk to us.
Oh, absolutely. It'll be available anytime you want to talk about any subject involving self-defense or firearms.
Edwin Walker, we appreciate that. We're going to be right back with more of the Curtis Report in just a moment.